What's up, nerds? It is I, your sick guide to all things gaming, on a sad Sunday night as we mourn the passing of sports great Koby Bryant. What a tragedy. And of course, it's also the Grammys. So good luck to whoever's nominated. But what a sad, sad way to start. Anyways, I was thinking about, because I'm always thinking about, what, this book, and with the introduction of the new, now official Critical Role handbook and splat books, and are splat books good? Are splat books bad? Do splat books add to the game, or do splat books lead to the eventual downfall of the game as they have in the past, once there's that glut of too much product and too much confusion of what is and is not legal and can I blah 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 blah. People get frustrated, and that can sometimes lead to a downfall of a game. Too many splat books is always a dangerous precipice, because what do you allow? As far as I'm concerned, the core four are always 100% A-OK. Anything past the core four is where you get into that fuzzy ground. I mean, if I don't allow it, is it still D&D? I mean, let's say I want to run a game that's inspired by Conan, or Knights of the Round Table, or Japanese mythology, or street racing. I don't know. And in order to build that world, I have to say, no, you can't. You can't be X, because X does not exist in King Arthur's Camelot. And you as a player have to be okay with that. But it's in the book! So it's legal, right? So I can be it. And if I'm not allowing it, what am I running? Am I still running D&D, or am I running a different game because I'm saying, no, you cannot fulfill this fantasy you have? And do I have the right? At what point am I stepping on the boundaries of people's fantasies and the consent and this whole thing of what we're allowing at the table and what we're not allowing at the table, and what's okay at the table and what's not okay at the table? And if somebody really, really wants to explore the possibility of being X, and I'm saying X is not allowed in my game, am I somehow violating some DM player trust, and therefore saying, oh, well, you suck because I'm not going to let you be a tiefling warlock healer arsonist with shotguns, because it's King Arthur's England and there's no such thing? Where is that middle between the rule zero of what I say goes, this is the world I'm running, and the I have to let the players play whatever they want in order to make them feel okay and allow them to explore their individuality and their sexuality and their whatever? It's very complicated. Because as a GM, it should be okay to say no and not offend people, or not piss somebody off, or not assume that the person has assumptions that you're not meeting, and then wondering all the time, Like, for example, recently, there was an example of a guy who said, I'm not allowing X in my game because of reason. And the reason he gave was pretty reasonable for why he would not allow X. But one of the players at the table snuck X in anyways, hoping the DM wouldn't notice. So the guy either wasn't paying attention or was paying attention and did it anyways, but then hasn't sort of mentioned it, So while everybody else is like specifically, no, we do not have X, this guy's like, yeah, I have X. I snuck it in. You haven't spotted it yet. So, and it's happened before where DMs have said, I'm not going to allow X, or I'm not going to let X in. And I, both as a player and as a GM, I've had players come to my table, and after I specifically said no, snuck that in anyways, hoping I wouldn't notice because I didn't know the rules, or they did it in such a way that I wasn't paying attention. And I've seen as a player, other players do that to DMs, where DMs have said, I'm not allowing X because it doesn't fit my story. And people have snuck X in anyways, either knowingly or by mistake. And then the DM either never caught it or caught it and just was like, well, whatever, it's already in and I'm not going to change it because that would just piss you off. Where is the happy medium between the rule zero, what I say goes, this is the world I'm playing and you have to be okay with it, and the player being, I really want to explore X, and if you don't let me explore X, you're subjugating me, you're discriminating against me, this is what's going to make me happy, you should let me do whatever I want. How far does that go? When do you say, no, I'm not allowing that splat book and you have to be okay with that? How do you beat that into people's heads so that they understand it, or you just hope that you can trust them? And with every additional splat book, it becomes harder and harder to say what constitutes Dungeons and Dragons other than human fighter. I mean, everything else is a paramutation of that original core 4, which is a paramutation of that original core 1, which is a paramutation of that Vanciance Tolkien fantasy ideal. And every time you take a step away from that and add more stuff to it and add more options, it stops really being that core 4 Tolkien Vancian. And you can either say, yes, I am going to allow everything. I don't know what kind of crazy game this is going to be, but there's a book, so I have to allow it. Or, no, I'm not going to allow it because it doesn't fit the theme, and you have to be okay with that. And then suddenly you're dealing with somebody who's not okay with that, and they're all upset. And then, what do you do? It's just very confusing. I think the solution, if there is one, obviously reverts back to rule 0 of the DM making it very clear what they're allowing and making sure the players are comfortable with that. Session 0, rule 0. If I'm going to say, no, I'm not allowing X in my game because of reason, I have to make sure that everybody understands that. And occasionally I have to repeat that so that I don't have to worry about somebody sneaking that in. And it's sad that the culture has gotten to a point where there's so many options and that a person feels entitled to, even if the DM says no, sneak something in hoping the DM won't catch it just because they want to play that anyways. And then what happens when the DM does catch it? It's just so weird. It's just so uncomfortable. And again, it comes back to making sure they know rule 0, making sure they know the physics of the world, making sure they understand how far you're willing to bend, willing to break, and what the consequences are if they try and sneak one in or try and break your rules. And still, as a DM, as a storyteller, you have to be, understanding of the needs of your crowd and trying to come up with that happy medium. Well, maybe you can't be X, but maybe you can be Y, which is just like X, but still fits my game. I don't know. What are your thoughts on empowering players versus empowering GM versus what do you allow? At what point does it stop being D&D? I don't know. Just random thoughts. Comment down below. I'll talk to you later, losers.